The party people who are there, people in government, including Jubilee House, who are doing galamsey and so on, even now.
We'll get to delve deeper into that 36-page report. An anti-corruption campaigners calls for a more decisive and strict approach to handling gold trading in Ghana, as the country is cited as a major transit point for illicit gold trade.
Everything rises and falls on the back of leadership. So, and obviously you have leadership at different levels. The first thing would have been for the president himself to say, look, who are the stakeholders within the sector who can give us a better.
Also this afternoon, dockets ready as the Electricity Company of Ghana starts prosecution of persons arrested for power theft.
Every single person that was found with a bypass who thinks the conversation is about bypass is wrong, charged with stealing. Unless you have a basket sitting somewhere at the back of your house where you were collecting the electricity into, hoping that when we come and ask for our electricity, you give it to us.
Meanwhile, the company has begun processes to refund electricity bills paid by former President Mahama, as the Office of the Chief of Staff takes responsibility for that.
The responsibility is on us because we know what to do and know where to collect. So that shortfall actually is an ECG problem and not a political problem.
In other words, he shouldn't be paying his own bills.
Yes, he shouldn't be paying.
We also have sports.
Joseph Adbeku tears into overcritical glory hunting Ghanaians.
And much later in the bulletin.
Killer cut block.
And as the controversy over the Drake Obrafour saga rages, music producer and singer Nasi reviews contract spelling out the share of revenue has still not been signed.
2% that they've paid me to feature.
Okay.
Yes. But so 90 whatever percent is totally free.
We have that and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. Please stay on for details. Many thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Well, this afternoon, the former Minister of Environment, Science and Technology and Innovation, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, has named some top government officials of being engaged in the illegal mining kanka, popularly known as galamsey. Well, the renowned professor who served under President Akufo-Addo during his first term insisted that the rot goes as high as the government seat, that's the Jubilee House. President Akufo-Addo last month tasked the police to investigate allegations. But told Joy News, today, Joy News has intercepted a 36-page document written by Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng addressed to the President, the Chief of Staff and the police, naming some individuals he claims frustrated his effort and that of the committee he chaired from addressing the canker. My colleague and Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe joins me in studio for more on this. Elton, let's delve into this document. First, who is Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng in this particular contest? Let's talk about it.
So in 2017, when President Akufo-Addo established the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining, Professor Frimpong Boateng, then Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, was made the chairman. Okay,
so what brought about all this? Where are we coming from? Where are we now?
So according to Professor Frimpong Boateng, in 2021, he had a memo from the Office of the Chief of Staff, and let me just go through the content of the memo. The memo says that I am directed to request you to furnish the office with a report on the work of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining so far, and also to propose the way forward to assist His Excellency the President make a decision on the future of the Interministerial Committee, thanks and counting on the usual cooperation. This letter signed by the Acting Chief Director for the Chief of Staff, H.M. Wood, and addressed to Professor Frimpong Boateng.
Okay, well, we can hear details of that.
We got a report that they had immobilized over 750 something excavators. So we appointed somebody to go around and check. When we went around, I think we got about 150, 200 that we could see. Okay. The rest had either been given to the owners or they put in some extra parts and moved them away. Okay. And then somebody put it out there, Frimpong Boateng has taken 500 square. What am I going to do with it? There was an orchestrated scheme, even within the party and the government.
To get you out.
So that, look, why is that when I left, now everybody is in the forest? At that time, we dare not enter the forest, you know. But as I said, I don't want to go into details now because I have a lot to say on that. But let me tell you that I did not take one excavator for anything. And they know the truth. Now, things are coming up. We know those who are behind it, and the party people who are there, people in government, including Jubilee House, who are doing Galamsey and so on, even now.
So, Elton, that's the popular GTV interview that generated all the controversy. Tell us more. There's been reactions.
So after this interview, we got information that the presidency directed the CID of the Ghana Police Service to initiate investigation into this allegation to establish the veracity of the claims by Professor Frimpong Boateng. Now, Professor Frimpong Boateng this morning confirmed that he altered the 36-page document, and also confirmed that he's currently assisting the police in investigations into this matter. Now, he tells us that this report, let me just read the headline. So the report was prepared following an order from the Chief of Staff. I was instructed to present a brief report to the presidency about the progress made in the fight against illegality in the small-scale mining sector, and also to suggest a way forward and the effort to contain the illegality. Now, according to him, this document was presented to the Chief of Staff in 2022. Now, when he made this allegation on GTV and he was asked to provide further particulars, he forwarded this same document to the office of the president. When the police contacted him about their investigation into this matter, same document, he gave it to them.
Okay.
Now, the document...
We are interested in the details of the
so
document.
the document mentions some family relations to the president. It also mentions some cabinet ministers, some ministers of some presidential staffers, some members of the ruling New Patriotic Party, and some senior media personnel who are all complicit in this Galamsey fights. And according to him, some media personnel were coerced into making this work difficult. Now, for some legal reasons, we are unable to mention the names of some people mentioned directly in this document because investigation is still ongoing. But he started by saying that when the fight against illegal mining started, and as head of the chair of the Interministerial Committee, a top manager, and that in this case we can't even mention the name of the top manager at the Forestry Commission, was actively giving out timber concession, even in forest reserve, for logging. He also gave forestry entry permit to mining companies, both large and small scale, including those of foreign nationals, for prospecting activities at the time when the president had put a ban on that activity. Now, according to the document, this Forestry Commission senior staff, together with another staff at the Forestry Commission, had Chinese gangs doing mining on his behalf. He says the issue about rosewood exploitation is something that is beyond the scope of this report. I remember that at a meeting in the conference room of President Akufo-Addo, I told him, the president, in the presence of this Forestry Commission senior person, that the greatest danger to the forests of Ghana was this Forestry Commission person. Now, he goes on to elaborate some of the challenges he's faced as chair of the committee. He says, apart from the Minister for Sanitation and Local Government, all other ministries that were members of the committee abandoned the committee. To make matters worse, the chairman was personally attacked, vilified, and framed for things he had not done. Such assault came from many people, including some of the ministers who effectively left the committee. Mining in Forest Reserve, the decision taken in 2018 by the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources and agencies to grant concession in virtually all forest reserve to mining companies did a lot of harm. Now, this was contrary to the directive from President that all mining activities in forest reserve should be suspended. Almost invariably, the concession owners were not indigenous and had no attachment to the local communities. They were given permits to work in the forest without any consultation with traditional rulers. He says, I can say on authority that all forest reserves have been invaded by rich miners who have engaged Chinese in their operations. Now, he said that at some point he had to involve the presidency and to complain about the activities of PAs, agents, relatives, financiers of the presidency, and in most of the meetings, he was given assurance by President Akufo that he would look into this particular matter. And he goes on to mention names of people who work at the presidency that were neck deep in the illegal mining, and whilst they were on the field trying to enforce the directives of the Interministerial Committee, they were calling and asking that the excavators that were seized be released to them.
Okay, well, Elton is the man to see for all the names that are mentioned in the report. Elton, I'll see you shortly in the newsroom. I promise to keep it short. But we have more on this on myjoyonline.com, except Elton will not give us the names just yet. But let's move on to some other stories now. An anti-corruption campaign is closely related to illegal mining and gold. They say that President Akufo-Addo must act tough to end illicit gold trading and other financial flows in Ghana. Original, a safety standards-oriented company, has identified Ghana as a major illegal gold trading route, with export destinations being Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and India. Well, this report comes on the back of a recent Al Jazeera investigation in which a Canadian boasted of smuggling more than $40 million through Ghana annually. We'll hear from Edem Senanu shortly, but first, here's a report by my colleague Kwekwa Santi detailing the recent report by Original and the Al Jazeera investigation.
The investigative unit of Al Jazeera, in their 4-part investigations into gold smuggling in Africa, revealed that gold smuggler Alistair Matthias smuggles around 40 million worth of gold out of Ghana every month. At least that is what he claims. Alistair Matthias, a Canadian national, allegedly launders money for people all over the world, including African politicians.
So for example, Ghana government, Matthias Holding, I get the contract. I subcontract it to you. $100 million contract. Ghana government pays me $100 million. I give it to you and you say it's $80 million.
The contract is inflated $20 million above its real cost. Matthias banks the $15 million for the corrupt politicians until they need it.
Alistair Matthias claims President Akufo-Addo is a good friend of his and even used to be his lawyer.
Ghana president is a good friend of mine. In fact, he was my lawyer. Like Cyril Ramaphosa here, I know him, I know his kids. I'm always easy.
This allegation has been denied by legal counsel to the president, Cole Esuman, who has said President Akufo-Addo has not been in private practice since the year 2000, and neither has the president nor his law firm, Akufo-Addo, Prempeh & Co., acted as lawyer for this Alistair Matthias. Just this week, Originally, a safety standards-oriented company on its illicit trading data map identified Ghana as a major illegal trading route, with export destinations being Switzerland, the United Arab Emirates, and India. In its report on the global illicit economy, originally noted that, quote, local gold refineries are being extensively used to launder gold from illicit sources in an artisanal mining sector involving several million people, forced labor, and high risks, unquote. In an assessment of the trade data between Ghana and its three major gold trading partners, Switzerland, India, and the United Arab Emirates, it revealed that over 6 billion worth of gold exports remain unaccounted for from 2013 to 2016. The figure is expected to rise significantly if all export and import data between all of Ghana's gold trading partners were to be examined.
We can now hear from anti-graft campaigner Edem Senanu, who says without real action by government and other state agencies, Ghana's international reputation will be stained.
We obviously don't have a hold on it. First off, I personally wouldn't give much credit or much credence to a smuggler, mafia, a kingpin saying that the president of a country is his lawyer. I found that incredulous. However, given that these groups tend to have large numbers of people working for them and they can take advantage of systems, it is possible that in the scheme of things, they have found some Ghanaians definitely who represent them for various purposes. We say leadership is cost, everything else is effect. Everything rises and falls on the back of leadership. So, and obviously you have leadership at different levels. The first thing would have been for the president himself to say, look, who are those within, who are the stakeholders within the sector who can give us a better understanding? If government was clear in its mind about the gap, the lacuna we face and its impact on the nation, they ought to have, through the policy thinking, analysis, formulation, come up with a law, come up with a system to deal with this.
Edem Senanu is an anti-graft campaigner away from gold and its trade. Let's move on to power now. And the Electricity Company of Ghana is ready to prosecute persons and institutions arrested for power theft. Hillberry at Ebri in the Eastern region and several others were arrested and cautioned when they were found to have tampered with ECG meters and other means that enable them to enjoy electricity for free. Managing Director of the ECG, Samuel Dubik Mahama, tells my colleague Evans Mensa that the document is ready for prosecution.
The conversation of the utility court is far advanced now.
Mm-hmm.
So those
it's not begun sitting yet, are they?
No, it's because you see, sometimes you forgive and then you start. I wanted this exercise to be our fresh start. So any single person that was found with a bypass who thinks the conversation is about bypass is wrong.
It's about what?
Charged with stealing. Unless, from your introduction, unless you have a basket sitting somewhere at the back of your house where you were collecting the electricity into, hoping that when we come and ask for our electricity, you give it to us. But so far as it has been consumed, you stole with no intention to pay back. So unless you can prove to the court that the electricity, you can give it back, you stole from us, and we are coming for a pound of flesh. Our attitude, our morals, and our responsibility must come back.
Of course, there are the big players, industries like Hilbury that we've heard about and others. We've not heard much about those you found who actually are doing what you're suggesting, stealing power.
We found a lot. We've gathered enough. Don't forget, you are innocent until proven guilty. Some of the issues found themselves into the media is quite sad because the person has to go to court and have their day to explain themselves. Now you have to visit every single home. But the meter that is not reading right, you will see immediately. The meter that has been tampered with, you will see immediately. Or the home that is not doing the right thing will be seen immediately. So you do not have to disturb honest customers.
Well, Mr. Mahama says ECG is also in discussions with the office of the former president, John Dramani Mahama, to refund electricity bills he has already paid.
Former presidents, we are supposed to bill and collect from the office of the chief of staff. I had a sit-down session with the chief of staff of the Republic of
John
Ghana.
Kufuor, John Mahama, you bill them and you give it to the chief of staff
to
and
pay.
The chief of staff will pay.
Yeah. I had a conversation with the chief of staff who asked me point blank that, have we been there to look at those bills and blah, blah, and to reconcile? Because this is the conversation that the former president has been paying his bills. So that means that immediately she said that I took that as a defect on our side. Because the responsibility is on us, because we know what to do and know where to collect.
Now, let's update you on the electricity revenue drive. And in the Upper West region, the Northern Electricity Distribution Company says they lose over 35 million cedis monthly through power theft and the unwillingness of consumers to pay bills. Rafiq Salam has more.
Volta River Authority, Northern Electricity Distribution Company, VRA NERCO, Upper West Region's Area Manager, Engineer Francis Yemiso, first painted the debt situation of his outfit to power generators and transmitters and why the need to embark on the revenue mobilization drive.
VRA NERCO in general, customers owe us about 1.2 billion Ghana cedis. We owe the power generators, that is mainstream VRA, 1.6 billion Ghana cedis. And then the transmitters, which is Greco, we owe them 481 million Ghana cedis.
Well, in the northern region, our correspondent Martina Bugi reports that some state institutions were disconnected for failing to pay their bills as well.
Speaking to journalists after the disconnection exercise, the area manager for NERCO, Elvis Domiakwo, said they will conduct their investigations and bill the allied health sciences accordingly.
Going on our normal monitoring or the revenue mobilization, we announced some 3 days ago. And then we visited the regional health directorates. They share the same compound with allied health sciences. I think they use the same meter, and we decided to monitor the meter. When we came, we realized that the allied health sciences, they have connected direct, and they have illegally bypassed the meter that they are using with the Ghana Health Service.
Now, we'll stay a while longer on utilities, and some senior and junior staff workers union at the Ghana Water Company Limited. They've been calling for the withdrawal of Collins Nuyama as its deputy managing director. The union disapproves of his nomination because, according to them, he isn't qualified for the position. They've been picketing in front of their offices. Here's the National Secretary of POO, Samo Kabak.
We want to state on record that we are not against the appointment of heads of entity by the presidency. But our concern is that the position of the managing director, it's an appointee of the presidency. But the deputy managing director, we believe it's a position that should be filled with people with both the technical and institutional knowledge of our operations. We also
That's Samuel Kakaba, is the first National Secretary of POO. My colleague Mame Esinya Meche Thompson was there for us. She joins me in studio. I mean, let's talk about how the issue was resolved.
So, Emefa, both senior and junior staff unions are united in this push to prevent Collins Nyama, who lost the NPP Treasurer position, from occupying the position of Deputy Managing Director of Ghana Water Company Limited. Part of the reasons why they're rejecting his appointment is they believe the company's difficult financial situation doesn't make it prudent for an outsider to be hired. They say they have many qualified people with a technical know-how and experience to do the job. So this morning, they presented their petition to the Jubilee House and the board, who are deliberating on the nominee, but they're yet to receive any feedback on the concerns raised.
And did we hear from the companies, the authorities? What have they been saying?
This morning, it was only the workers who were picketing. We're yet to hear from the board and also management of the company on what they make of their grievances.
Okay, thank you very much. That's my colleague Mame Esinya Meche Thompson taking us on a quick break here on the Midday News, sponsored by Petrosol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrosol, always a delightful experience. Also brought to you by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. We've been hearing details of a 36-page report from former Science and Environmental Minister Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng, who is backing claims that some appointees and close associates of President Akufo-Addo thwarted the effort of the Anti-Galamsey Committee in the fight against illegal mining, as he formally responds to the president and the police investigation. Well, when we return, we have sports, and then much later in the bulletin.
Different rhythm. Killer cut block.
And as the controversy over the Draco Boafo saga rages, music producer and singer Nasi reviews contracts spelling out the share of revenue has still not been signed.
2% that they've paid me to feature.
Okay.
Yes. But so 90 whatever percent is totally free.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time for sports. Michael, what do we have today?
Emefa, Ghana has very rich boxing history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
Days. Yeah,
down to all of the DK poison and all of that. So when the international sporting debates pop up on social media, that's what Ghanaians used to boast and give themselves some flowers, especially in the period where the Black Stars have disappointed us for some time.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, since Richard Comey lost his world title to Teofimo Lopez in 2019, Ghana has been without a world title.
Mm-hmm.
In that period, there's been a couple of world title and world title eliminator bouts, all of which Ghana's boxers have lost. And Ghanaians have gone all over those results and given some very, let's say, words of assessments to these boxers.
Okay.
And all these assessments, harsh assessments, as one boxer has termed it, Joseph Adbeko, it has not started well with him, apparently.
The one in the ring wants to win more than you, the one watching. And one thing they have to know is that the government does not invest into our preparation towards any fight. And they, the fans that watch us, they don't even come over there to pay so we can have get some value in terms of bargaining value for our earnings. Do you get me? They only sit here and they watch. And whenever you lose, everyone wants to insult you. Whenever you win, they want to share the glory with you. But whenever you lose, everyone wants to insult you. But if Ghanaians know that they want to criticize boxers, they should be ready to be investing into the preparation of fighters. They should put pressure on the government so the government can invest in the preparation for fighters. Then whenever a fighter loses, like how Black Star, they give money to Black Stars, and when they lose, everyone can insult them. They should be able to put pressure on the government so the government can invest into the preparation of the fighters, so that whenever we lose, they can insult us.
A valid point there.
Well, it's a valid point, but unlike the Black Stars, when you look at boxing, especially at the professional level, fighters go into bouts. They don't enter on the national scale. All they do part of the country's flag. It's not the country who's entering into the bout, so it's a bit difficult for the government to put money into these things. That I'm telling what the government is supposed to support. But
we'll see. And that's a topic for another day.
Yes,
Thank you very much, Michael. Now, the Ghana Journalists Association has expressed worry about police refusal to give information to journalists for close to a year. Regional and district police commands in the country, including their public relations outfits, do not speak to the media. Well, most of the communication is concentrated at the police headquarters, which mostly issues just statements. There's concern that the situation could fuel speculation and misinformation. We'll hear from the GJA president, but first, here's a report by Joy News editor Fifi Kumsin.
The media has a big responsibility to, among others, educate and inform. But the new police media blackout in the regions and districts of the country, following the assumption of office of IGP George Akufu Dampare, threatens this mandate.
This has a very serious potential on giving room for speculations and misinformation.
Whenever a story breaks anywhere in the country, the police in those jurisdictions would direct journalists to the Central Police Communication Center here in Accra for comment. And on many occasions, when the journalists do, they get no answers. Almost every one of these newsmen and women has a story about how this decision by the police is affecting their work in the relay of information to Ghanaians.
Recently, there was a criminal case in one of our neighboring towns, Okrasi, and my outfit tried to authenticate and get facts and some clarification from our regional police command. Sadly enough, we were told to contact the national headquarters.
But how can one central communication center handle requests from 16 regions and 216 districts, municipalities, and metropolitan assemblies? Why would the police shut its commanders in the regions up, the people who have first-hand information, and rather rely on communication officers who only have secondary data?
Well, at the launch of the State of the Ghanaian Media Report by the University of Ghana's Department of Communication Studies, GJA President Mr. Albert Jumfo said the situation must change.
As a state institution, you can't keep information to your chest. Like we are all condemning the NCA for not being transparent with ownership, we still entreat the police to do better. Even though it's a security agency, they should know that they are working with the public, they work for the state, and they are responsible to the public. And I will use your platform. I have said this. We indicated it in our earlier statement that look, the police should change their style, because especially when it comes to the regions and the community, information flow is not going down.
That's the GJA President Albert Jumfo. Now, the controversy surrounding Canadian rapper Drake sampling portions of a Brafor's 2003 hit song Oyo Hene is still raging, and music producer and singer Nasi has revealed contracts have still not been signed by contributors to music projects. This comment comes in the wake of legal practitioner Bobby Banson pointing out that other individuals aside from Abrafor may have an interest in the disputed song.
Killer cut, blood, killer cut. Killer cut, blood, killer cut.
I think Tiny is also on this song. So Tiny, Obrafor, Hammer, who produced it, or did the sound, and Mantle, whose peculiar voice has added some uniqueness or intellectual property lawyers would say originality to the work of art. And so if there was no such split, the question then is, would Obrafor be entitled to register the copyright in the whole song, which he has now done in the United States as his sole intellectual property?
Now, it appears not much has changed since 2003. Listen to Nasi on Daybreak Hits.
Doing it. Why? Maybe we have to go to Gamro to get the form so that we can put it there.
Oh, but you can easily download them. Or you can have any verb. Okay, so what's the agreement?
They pay for the production, that's all.
Hey, Mercy. How are you convinced to sing on the songs you produce, or they ask you for them?
Mostly, they don't pay me for, singing on their tune. They kind of request that, Nasi, we would like your voice to be on the song. Or either when the production starts, normally I have to restructure the whole song, and so I will sing it for you to have a better idea of what I'm trying to let you know. So I do that. You take the copy, you go home and you learn it, and you come and sing.
Okay.
So then I take my voice off. But sometimes they come and they tell you that, oh no, this one there, leave your voice here for me. All the songs that I have featured on, if I've received any money on them, any of the songs, I would say like, let's say 2% that they've paid me to feature.
Okay.
Yes. But so 90 whatever percent.
And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. ECG begs GRA to offset 600 million tax obligation. We also have the Ghanaian media not financially viable. That's according to a report. That's and more on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apawu. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil is up